Okay, so as such, the time has come to test the sheer brawn of this phone, the kind of horsepower it has, and we're going to start by running our quintessential benchmarking app, the Antutu benchmark. So let's start this up. We've already ran the test once, you can see the score right here, but just to get a clear measure, we're going to test it again. Of course, I'm going to speed it up for you a little bit so you don't have to sit through the entire thing. And there we go. The benchmark has concluded, and we see we have a score which is very close to 37,000, which is which is a decent score, but is it's to be expected. It's an octa-core device, so actually I have to say that maybe you might have noticed in the sped up footage of the benchmarking, but this phone is a very bad competitor when it comes to 3D graphics. It does not do a good job in that department. I was really disappointed. We'll see it later when I'm going to play a 3D game. They're barely playable. Really, it's I don't know what happened, because other phones with the same chipset as this one perform a lot better in that department, a lot better. So yeah, I don't know if this might be fixed in an update, or if this is a design option, because so other things can run better. I don't know, or it's just bad design. I'm not sure, but 3D performance is really weak, at least in this iteration of the software. So right now we don't, because we all know that benchmarks aren't everything. We're going to play a small game for this one. I've chosen Asphalt Nitro, which is a sort of a light version of the full Asphalt 8 game. But even with this one, the phone actually has a pretty hard time of running it at a proper speed. So as you can see, frame rates are, even for a light version of this game, are very low. It's not good at all. I mean, if you buy a phone, for audio purposes, as we'll see later, this is great. This is almost the best you can get at this price. But for for gaming or for other enjoyment of media, I would go for another phone, because this is really underperforming. When you see when we're boosting, and the motion blur is coming on stuff, the phone is just it's really struggling to remain playable. Missed the jump. Yeah, okay. We've seen enough of this now. Um, we're going to run Epic Citadel too, because I really like using Epic Citadel for benchmarking purposes. It's really pretty. So yeah, but again here we'll see. I'll press the benchmarking button. You'll see that it struggles to get to 20 frames per second. which is not that good a speed for this benchmark. Another thing that I have to mention is that the phone, this part of the phone, you know, the upper part gets really hot, and not just hot when doing this stuff, when doing benchmarking. It actually gets hot from not doing anything. It's really weird. Sometimes I'm playing a game and it doesn't get hot at all. It just stays cool. And sometimes I'm just browsing the web and it gets too hot to handle. And if I say hot, I mean really hot. Like this part where the camera is and the fingerprint sensor. Sometimes when the screen is on, it gets so hot that you know you don't want to use the fingerprint sensor to unlock the phone because it's so warm. So as you can see in this corner here, we're averaging around 14 frames per second. Right now we're going to a steady 12, which is really not good. If you're playing a game and you're getting 12 frames per second, that's not something that you want to be doing. So we'll certainly be deducting some points from this part. So yeah. 2D performance is okay. We can go and check this physics-based game out for a while. No, we don't want. Google Play Games, I think it's going to come again. Yes, there it was. So let's just, you know, go for a random level. So the point here is just to, you know, draw some physics-based stuff to get the levels to work out, and we see it works. So if you're into light gaming, you can just get this. That didn't work. Yeah, but you get the picture. So 2D graphics work, but you know, that's to be expected. Would be really bad if this phone couldn't handle 2D graphics, but 3D graphics is just a bit too far for it. We'll check out CPU-Z to check out some of the inner specifications. So right here we see we're dealing with a octa-core processor. So yeah, we see the MTK 6753 right here. We can look at Android 5.1. We know all this. The battery. See the thermals right now. You see that's pretty hot. This is a very thin phone, as we've seen in the design section. So when the inner parts are 60 degrees, you can bet that the outer parts are going to be 50 degrees. It doesn't have a lot of heat spreading capabilities. It's not made out of metal. It's plastic. So yeah, that's bound to happen. That's really too bad. That's really too bad. No, we aren't interested in this. Right now, let's look at some of the sensors. Something very odd that I want to mention here is I wasn't able to install any application with the word sensor in its name, which is really weird because any other application, as you've seen in the testing and stuff, that worked. I could download any benchmarking, any game, but any application that had the word sensor in it, I couldn't install. I couldn't even install them if I sideloaded them into the device and installed them via the APK installer. Even that didn't work. I'm slightly iffy on that. I'm not sure what happened there. Maybe those apps aren't compatible. Maybe all those sensor apps aren't compatible with this version of Android or something, but I think that's very unlikely. I think it's more likely that one of the boasts of Ulefone might have been not true, and so they're trying to block you from finding that out. I don't know which one it is. It might be the proximity sensor, because as we see, there's no reading of it here. If we go back to the sensors, there should be a light sensor. There is a light sensor too. I don't know. Oh, there it goes. So you see, all these sensors are working. I mean, the compass works. I've tested that with the app that comes with the device. So I'm really not sure on what happened there. You can, if you ever buy this phone, you can try it yourself. It doesn't matter in usage. I mean, it really doesn't do anything. Maybe they're saying they have a gyroscope and they don't have one, but you know, most MediaTek phones don't have a gyroscope, so that's to be expected. I'm not sure what happened here. If you own this phone and you can try installing an app with the word sensor in its name, please get back to me, because I wasn't able to, and I thought this was very weird. I tried at least 15 different apps. So yeah, I'm really I don't know what happened there, But it's something, you know, to keep in mind, about the brand, about this, this case in particular. So I don't think there's anything else in the way of performance I can show you. So let's go straight on to the media capabilities of this phone. Alright, so now let's talk about the media capabilities of this phone a bit. It's probably what you're all here for anyway, because it was probably those features that were advertised the most by Ulefone. So I'll start off with talking about the camera for a bit. The camera is it's functional, it's workable, it's actually pretty good. It's definitely above par. I mean, better than par when it comes to this price range, this budget phone range. It takes some pretty good pictures. The color depth is okay. Um, yeah, there's not much I can say about this. I mean, I was really positively surprised by the quality of the pictures taken with this device. I would think they put all their money, in the DAC software and hardware, but they managed to spare something for a decent camera sensor with a decent lens. I was very happy about that. So definitely a plus point on this device. And then, well, probably go on to the main point, which is the sound, which is the music. And I have to say, when I first got this phone into my hands, it was probably the first thing I tested, because I'm a bit of an audiophile, so I love things that have good that have an eye for audio quality. So I'm not into the whole lossless versus lossy thing, because I think a lot of people go too far in that respect. But there's definitely a difference when it comes to natural sounds, natural basses, blown out frequencies. There's definitely some truth into a lot of devices, um, doing good or bad in one of those respects. So, and I'm happy to say that with this phone, I was very surprised. I mean, most phones in this price range are barely listenable. So, you put in your earphones, and if it's some cheap buds, it's okay. But when you put in some decent quality cans, you hear that it's just not good. It's just bad. There's static over it, that kind of stuff. And when I bought this phone, I thought, well, it's going to be decent. It's going to be a decent, like when you're plugged into your laptop or something. But it was really good. And by really good, I mean, it's hard to give a representation of sound quality, but I have heard some good sounds in my day. I just want to show I've tested the sound capabilities, not with just any old headphones that you find in the store, but Ulefone, on their Facebook page, they advertised some headphones that you could use to get the full potential of their device. And so I happen to own one of those headphones. Or these are the Pioneer Pioneer MX9s. These are some quality hi-fi headphones. So they're known for having a bit stronger of a bass response, which is something that I like. But they're not they're pretty hi-fi. So I tested this device with those headphones, and I've got to say I've rarely heard anything, and I mean anything. I've listened to some high-end iPods and iPhones in my time, some other high-end phones, and this was some really attention to detail. The basses sounded they were really natural, really not blown out at all. Was a really balanced sound. I didn't need any EQing, which I normally do for most of my audio device. I didn't need anything. Well, I did EQ it a bit, because I thought the highs were a little blown out, just a little bit. But that's just a niggle. I mean, there was nothing wrong with the sound per se. That was just my preferences have those highs a little bit lower, so it doesn't hurt your ears. And also the volumes that this thing pushes are really astounding. I mean, at half volume, you have the same volume coming out of your headphones as you have with most phones. Like my own phone, the Oppo Find 7, it pushes the same volume at full volume as this thing does at half volume. So that's pretty crazy, and it doesn't cause any distortion or anything. It's just really good. I'll play something off the speaker for you guys just to show you that the speaker isn't that bad either, but it's not that good. You know, some people have been boasting about the Ulefone speaker, saying that it's amazing or something, or it's you know, it's a great kind of it's something out of the ordinary, which isn't true. But you know, you can definitely hear the quality of the DAC coming from the speaker. So yeah, you can hear there is no bass. I mean, that's to be expected. It's a speaker. It's I can't even show you how small it is. It's that small. The driver is extremely tiny. So, you know, you can't expect it to be any kind of bass response, but you know, it's listenable. When you want to show a video or a song to your friends, you can definitely put this on and not have to use an audio splitter or something like that. So yeah, that's pretty much all I can say about the audio. I can't really say anything because it's as good as they advertise. Probably it's pretty great, and I'm sure that if you root this, if they I don't know if there's a root available yet, but if there is, and you put Viper for Android on this, you can turn this into, well, I mean a great audiophile device. I'm sure of it. I'm really sure. So yeah, I don't know. Talking about media, I don't think there's a lot else that I can talk about apart from the audio and the video capabilities. Um, so I think I'm going to go on with you know, just some general niggles and features that I see in this device. Okay, so right now I'll talk about some, you know, some things that I couldn't categorize anywhere else. Some, you know, maybe some things I want to recap from the review. I want to draw attention upon. So, yeah, I'll start with talking about, you know, the connectivity. I've tested this. I've used this phone for about 2 weeks, so I've used it out and about. Um, some things, you know, everything 4G, 3G right here in Belgium, everything worked as you would expect. So 4G worked, very fast internet, calling, texting, you know, everything worked just as you'd expect. So other things, Wi-Fi works. It's not particularly fast. It's not as that slow that it might, you know, that it might bother you. But I've certainly seen faster devices on my Wi-Fi network. So the Bluetooth works up all the way up to Bluetooth 4.0. So again, as expected. The Hotnod, I've tested it. It works, but chances are you're never going to use it, so that doesn't matter much. The GPS works. I'll show a screenshot from GPS test on the screen right now. It worked really quickly. After about 8 seconds, I had a 9-foot fix, so that's pretty great. Any other connectivity things I can talk about? Not really. The IR Blaster works too, but you need an external app for that. It doesn't work with an app out of the box. You need to install something, you know, to control your TV, which is, you know, which is normal for phones with an IR Blaster. Some other things that are important, which are not connected to connectivity, are something I want to draw an extra bit of attention to, is the problem with phone makers these days not putting notification LEDs on their phones. I mean, I can't believe why this is still happening. Even sub $100 phones have these nowadays, so there's no excuse to not put them on your phone. They're so useful, they're so easy to implement. There is no downside to having a notification LED, and yet these phone makers insist on not having one, which I cannot comprehend. So yeah, that's something I really want to talk about. This phone has one, doesn't have one either, and I will be deducting points for that, as you do. So yeah, it's not all bad though, of course. I've talked about this assistive touch thing already, and I mean, it's something I really like. It's something you don't see very often in an Android phone, because we all know it's present as assistive touch in a iPhone. I don't know if it's maybe it's a patent thing or something that Android can't use it and Ulefone just did because, well, they're a Chinese company who don't care about patents. But I think I like it. I like it. It's very useful. For the rest, I like that they've stayed close to stock while still providing some features of their own. That's a good thing. That they didn't clutter it with their own stuff. So that's pretty great. Yeah, that's about it for things that I couldn't put anywhere else in the review. So right now, what remains just a small conclusion. Alright, so now for the conclusion of this phone, we're going to, assign some points to the different categories because that's what all the cool kids are doing nowadays. So yeah, for the design, as we've seen in the beginning, I'm pretty fond of the design. I'm giving this an 8 out of 10. It's not anything out of the ordinary, which you can't expect at this price point, of course. But it's pretty good. The software, I'm giving a 9 out of 10 because we all love stock, and if they've just kept it stock, I would probably given it an 8 out of 10. But because they've added a few features of their own, as like the assistive touch thing over here, and because they're providing software updates, and we've already have a Android 6.0 software update coming in early July, I'm very excited about this. So I'm giving this a 9 out of 10 in software. In the performance department, I'm giving this a 5 out of 10 because as we've seen, 3D gaming, which is mainly what performance is about, this phone performs very poorly. You can play games on it if you want to. And the rest of the performance is okay when we're talking about, the calculating, the mathematics stuff. Then it's pretty good, but most people are going to look to performance to play 3D games, and this phone lacks in that department, so a low score because of that. The media, I was very excited about it, you've heard that. So this definitely gets a 9 out of 10 in the media department. The audio is just amazing for this price point. Exactly as they advertised, they didn't exaggerate with any claims. It's just the audio is really amazing. And the video and stuff is good too. And then the battery, something I haven't talked about. The battery is, I already said, 3,250 milliamp hours, which is, for size, that's decent. That's what 5.5 inch phones go for nowadays. But I think I'm giving this a 7 out of 10 because, it lasts a day and a half. While it should be large enough to last you at least 2 days. But I think it has something to do with the fact that the phone gets, so hot randomly. Which is, which was also a downside for me, which is partly why the performance score was low too, because of the thing where it gets hot when you're doing something. But most of the time it gets hot without doing anything, which is annoying. It doesn't get hot out of itself. You have to at least be working with the phone. The screen has to be on, but I don't know what causes it. I've yet to determine what causes it getting so hot at random moments. But yeah, so I'm giving the battery a 7 out of 10 because the battery life is good, but it isn't great. And the expected -1 for not including a notification LED. Get the hint, people. So yeah, if we count all this together and we get the average, we get a 7.6 out of 10, which in my mind is a little low for this phone because the media is just that good. So don't let the price fool you. If you want an audio-centric phone for not a lot of money, definitely get this one. I mean, don't look around because the next phone you'll find with this kind of, audio quality will be loads more expensive because that's not something that phone, not because, audio hardware is that expensive but because it's not that much of a priority for phone makers. So first they'll work on putting in a better camera, better chipset, better screen, better anything before they're going to touch the, the DAC or anything that makes the audio quality better. So yeah, definitely don't let that discourage you when you're looking for an audio-centric phone. And that's pretty much it. The Ulefone Vienna, buy it or don't. Kalani64 out.